Okay, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. I call the meeting to order at 12:01 p.m. and we'll begin with the land acknowledgement. The Kingston Police Service Board acknowledges that it is on the traditional homeland of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Huron-Wendat peoples, and thanks them for their stewardship of the land. And it is in that spirit of stewardship that we are all committed to providing for the safety and security of all of its citizens. Before we begin today, I just wanted to recognize a few things. So first, it's a sad and difficult time for policing in Ontario and across the country. I want to take a moment to recognize and honor three officers who have recently lost their lives in the line of duty: Constable Taran Bali, Ontario Provincial Police, Constable Mark Pinizotto, Toronto Police Service, and Constable Mohammed Lamine Benredouan from Montreal Police Services. Each of these officers served with courage, integrity, and a deep commitment to the communities they protected. Their loss is felt not only within their own services, but as I said, across the entire policing family. The Kingston Police Service Board extends our heartfelt condolences to their families, their colleagues, and all who are mourning with their passing. Their sacrifice reminds us of the profound risks inherent in this profession and the responsibility we share to those who serve. I ask now that we pause for a moment of silence in their memory. Thank you. Moving on with the agenda, we have no presentations or briefings. Are there any disclosures of conflict of interest? Seeing none, I will move for an approval of the agenda. Call for a motion to approve today's agenda as amended. The addendum was distributed June 24th with one communication, two reports. Can I have a mover and seconder for that, please? Moved by Member Stephen, seconded by Vice Chair Coven. All those in favor? And that carries. Moving on. Call for the adoption of the minutes. That the minutes of meeting number 26-04 held on May 28th, 2026, and the meetings of the special meeting 26-05 held on June 14th, 2026 be adopted. Can I have a mover and seconder for that, please? Moved by Member Leprecht, seconded by Vice Chair Coben. All those in favor? And that carries. All right, moving on. Communications. We have two pieces of communication. A memorandum dated June 11th, 2026, received from the Ministry of the Solicitor General with respect to police service boards and OPP detachment board members and elections, advising members who will be running for the upcoming election in October to review the regulations. And a memorandum dated June 22nd, 2026, received from the Ministry of the Solicitor General with respect to preventing auto thefts grant for the 2026-27 fiscal year. Can I have a mover and seconder, please, to receive the following communications? Moved by Member Stephen, seconded by Member Leprecht. All those in favor? That carries. Do board members have any questions with regards to the communications? No, none at the moment. Very good. Okay, there are no delegations. Okay, we have a consent agenda. Can I have a call for a motion that the consent agenda items be received for information? Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Member Leprecht, seconded by Vice Chair Coven. All those in favor? Thank you. And we just have a couple items here. Request made pursuant to Section 19, Human Resources Monthly Update, 2026 Police Governance Ontario Spring Conference, and Chief's Procedures Review Initiative. Would the chief or deputy chief like to speak to any of these reports?
The only one I'll speak to, I think, worthy of discussion is just that, with the CSPA being, 2 years into its enforcement, we are working diligently with yourselves and your updated policies to update our procedures to be in compliance with both the CSPA and best practices. This is an ongoing process. We've devoted resources to that. For example, I'll provide a simple area where we recognize that it's new, and that's the development of dealing with artificial intelligence and how we're going to manage that. And then, of course, the board creating a policy on artificial intelligence. But otherwise, I don't have anything further on these reports unless there's any questions, Chair.
Thank you, Chief McIntosh. Are there any questions from members of the board with regards to these reports? Okay, seeing none. Moving on, we have the approval agenda. First item is the appointment of Kingston police officers. Recommendation that the Kingston Police Service Board appoint, contingent upon each candidate obtaining an Ontario Police College Basic Constable Training Certificate on the date of swearing in, Joshua Connor, Sean Finn, Sarah Heath, Clayton Hunt, Jacob Ritchie, and Ashlyn Sylvain, pursuant to Section 37(1)(c) of the Community Safety and Policing Act. Can I have a mover and seconder for that recommendation, please? Moved by Vice Chair Coven, seconded by Member Stephen. All in favor? That carries. Funding agreement. Ontario strategy to end human trafficking. A recommendation that the Kingston Police Service Board endorse the funding agreement between the Kingston Police Service Board and His Majesty the King and Right of Ontario as represented by the Solicitor General for a maximum amount of $17,400 provided for the 2026-27 funding year under the Ontario Strategy to End Human Trafficking Funding Agreement, and that the board authorize the chair to sign the funding agreement on behalf of the board, and that the board authorize the chief of police to spend the funds provided through the funding agreement, and that the board authorize the chief of police to sign any required reporting documents in accordance with the funding agreement. Can I have a mover and seconder for this, please? Moved by Member Leprecht, seconded by Vice Chair Coven. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor? That passes. Oh, okay, moving on. Approval of multiple policies under the Community Safety and Policing Act. Proposed recommendation is that the Kingston Police Service Board approve the policies listed in this report as presented in accordance with the Community Safety and Policing Act and applicable regulations. Can I have a mover and seconder for this, please? Moved by Member Stephen, seconded by Member Leprecht. Is there any discussion with regards to these policies? I will merely say that this is part of our ongoing process of renewing policies and ensuring that we're moving forward in that manner for all existing policies. All right, I will call the vote. All those in favor? That carries. Okay, Kingston, City of Kingston requests to appoint special constables. The proposed motion that the Kingston Police Service Board receive the attached report from Kyle Campeau, Director, Licensing and Enforcement, City of Kingston, and that the board appoint Kyle Campeau, John Tobin, Ryan Burns, Laura St. Pierre, Steve Mothersell, Dan Hazel, John Baldwin, and Jamie Goose as special constables, conditional upon the Solicitor General issuing an authorization to the Corporation of the City of Kingston to employ special constables, and further conditional upon each candidate successfully completing all training required under subsection 92(1) of the Community Safety and Policing Act. May I have a mover and seconder for that, please? Moved by Member Stephen, seconded by Vice Chair Coben. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And that carries. There are no motions, no ratifications of motions. There's no unfinished business. We have discussion and new business highlights for the Police Governance Ontario Spring Conference. That was supposed to be for Member Hassan, so we'll hold off on that item. Moving on, the Policy and Bylaw Committee update. Oh, that's me from the chair. I think I've already provided some comments and updates on that. There's been a lot of work that's been going on to the revision and updating of our policies and bylaws. And this is part of our due diligence as board members and ensuring that all of our policies are updated and ideally in a future or in an ideal world that would become cyclical once we've completed that goal. The other thing that I just wanted to highlight is that there's a large amount of work that's going into particular the development of policies around vulnerable populations, specifically sexual violence, intimate partner violence, child exploitation, which have been crafted with the help of MPA students and the members of the committee, and have now been distributed to organizations throughout the community that specialize in these areas to provide further feedback and guidance for the most robust policies possible. So that's all I have in terms of that. And moving on to the next item, a diversity plan working group committee update. Member Stephen, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a brief update here. So the diversity plan working group met, I think it was last week, recently. We've decided to have a change in direction. So initially the thought was we would do a member survey so that we could collect that kind of demographic data. And the group has decided that the survey is not actually going to change anything given resources, time, limitations, all of these things. The group would rather move forward with a draft plan. So that draft plan has been created based on conversations and work that had been done prior. Currently, it's been shared to the chair. We are going to meet next week to discuss. After that point, it will be going to the diversity plan working group, of course, to staff as well, and to the board following that. So we're hoping, please don't hold me to it, but the goal is to have it come to the board for September. And that's what we're aiming for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Final item is Bill C11 and potential impacts. For those who aren't aware, Bill C11 is the Military Justice System Modernization Act. It received royal assent on Friday. There's been some significant concerns about this because one of the objectives or one of the pieces of the legislation is that the police force for the municipality or the surrounding region is now ultimately responsible for all investigations regarding sexual assault, sexual violence that occurs on a military base. Previously, the way the legislation and the regulations existed was that it could be the choice of the victim, one way or the other. So to use the military police or the police from the surrounding area. There are a number of potential impacts with regards to this legislation, which is now law. Potentially, what will that impact be for Kingston Police, specifically as we have a very large military base and military population? What additional burdens that will be on resourcing, but also in addition to that, for answers that we don't necessarily have all the answers at this moment, we are investigating. The other piece too is, of course, what impact that will have on the victim. And these cases are often very resource intensive. They're very delicate and require a great deal of sensitivity. And so while we do not understand the entirety of the impact, steps have been taken both by the board and different associations, including the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, in terms of advocacy and understanding what next steps will be around that. So I just wanted to highlight that as an issue for further consideration and discussion, both here and in the public. So thank you. Okay, moving on. We have a motion to move in camera in accordance with Section 44 and Section 44.2 of the Community Safety and Policing Act. A, security of property of the board. B, personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including members of the police service or any other employees of the board. Labor relations or employee negotiations, litigation or potential litigation affecting the board, including matters before administrative tribunals. And information that Section 8 of the Municipal Freedom and Protection of Privacy Act would authorize a refusal to disclose if it were contained in a record. Can I have a mover and seconder for that, please? Moved by Member Leprecht, seconded by Vice Chair Coven. All those in favor? And that carries. The public meeting has ended at 12:15 p.m. We will be moving upstairs in 10 minutes. Thank you.